What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I'm back again with another hyperlapse video. This time is with the DJI Air 2S. So in this video I'm going to show you the steps that I take to achieve the hyperlapse with the light streaks that you saw in the intro. So with the combination of the 1-inch sensor and the capability of shooting 20 megapixel raw photos, we're able to bring out a lot of details in the images. So just to go over a couple things, with flying at night, I do have the Lume Cube here. This is visible up to 3 statute miles. This is required when you're flying your aircraft at night. Also, I do feel it necessary to say for those drone police out there that I am Part 107 certified, and I've taken my recurrent test back in April, which certifies me to fly at night without a waiver. So for all those drone police out there that are ready to make that phone call, you can put your phones back in your holster and just chill out and enjoy the video. So with that said, I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm going to go ahead and do all my checks and then put this in the air, and I'm going to show you the settings that I use to achieve these hyperlapses. And also after that, we're going to head over to the lab and we're going to do the editing. So just hold tight. Alright, so I've flown in this area before, and I do know there are power lines right here, as you can see right down here. There are power lines there, and I'm going to stay a little bit under 300 feet. I'm going to take it over here. Now I can see the aircraft right out my passenger side window. With these LEDs, you definitely can see this aircraft at night. So I'm just going to bring it over here. So I'm going to be flying over wooded area and parking lot, empty parking lot, so we should be good. All right, so first thing we need to do is put it in hyperlapse mode. So just tap the little square here above the shutter button, go to hyperlapse. I like using Waypoints. I also like using course lock, but for this one we're going to use Waypoints. Now the first thing you need to do is make sure your settings are right. So you're going to want to shoot 4K, you want the best quality, and also you're going to want to shoot in RAW. Now you can shoot in JPEG if you want, if you don't plan on editing your photos, but if you plan on editing your photos, go ahead and shoot in RAW. The aircraft does process a hyperlapse for you, however, is not the greatest. So what we're going to do is batch edit the photos and then bring out a lot of the details in the images so your hyperlapse can look, great. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure your shutter speed is good. I've done a few hyperlapses, or quite a few hyperlapses, and found that a shutter speed of 2.5 seconds is pretty good to get those long light streaks, or long enough light streaks to make it look good. And I have my ISO set to the lowest because with a 2.5 second shutter speed, it lets enough light in to where I can keep my ISO down to 100. And as you can see right below that, my EV is only -0.7. White balance is in manual, and you can set it to wherever you like, but at night I like to keep it around 4500 Kelvin. Now you're going to want to set your intervals. So you want to hit these 3 dots right here, and it'll take you into this part of the menu. Now with a 2.5 second shutter speed, the lowest intervals you can shoot is 5 seconds. And then after we set our waypoints, we'll be able to set the length of the hyperlapse. So from here, you want to hit this arrow right here on the left hand side, and this will be our first waypoint. And we're going to bring it forward. And I'm going to set our next waypoint right here, and I'm going to tilt the gimbal down and maybe rotate it just a little bit, and then I'm going to hit the plus sign here in the box. All right, our waypoint, second waypoint is set, and then I'm going to bring it further down Then I'm on lower altitude just a little bit. I know I have power lines below me. I'm going to set it over here and angle the gimbal this way, and I'm still good. As you can see here up on top, the camera rotation angle, it'll let you know if you're good or bad, and I'm still in the good, and I'm going to keep it right there and then set that as my third waypoint. And then from here I'm going to save it, because as you can see I only have 54% battery left, and this is going to take pretty much the entire battery. And now I'm going to set the length, which I'm going to set it for 10 seconds. Well, I've tried to set it for 10 seconds, but it's saying that I have insufficient battery life. But we're going to switch out batteries with a full battery, so I'm going to set it for 10 seconds, and I'm going to hit the check mark, and then I'm going to save this. We're going to bring it back and then switch out with a fresh battery, and we'll go from there. All right, so we have our fresh battery. So I'm going to go back into Hyperlapse, and I'm going to go back to Waypoints, and I'm going to hit this little icon here on the left. And as you can see, here's the Hyperlapse that I saved up on top. I'm going to hit that, and it brings up the hyperlapse. So I'm just going to do the normal sequence. That way it'll come back towards me and it'll be closer to me once it ends, because this is going to run down pretty much almost all the battery. So from there, I'm going to press the shutter button here.
The aircraft is heading to the first waypoint.
All right, so is at the first waypoint. I was going to take 250 photos, and it's saying it's going to take 20 minutes, and I have 23 minutes left in flight time, or until the battery completely depletes, and then 20 minutes until forced landing. So I might not get a full 10-second hyperlapse. However, I think around 200 is maybe 8 seconds. So 8 seconds is still good enough. So of course this is going to take a long time. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and if anything happens in between, I'll go ahead and address it, and we'll just go from there. All right, so let's speed this up.
Battery level is low. The aircraft will go to the home point in 10 seconds. Go home.
Battery's getting low, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring it back. All right, so here's the hyperlapse we got with the Air 2S. Now let's make our way to the lab and see if we can make this look better. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the lab. First thing we need to do is find our raw photos and separate them into its own file, which I've done so here already. So let's close this out. Then we're going to open up our photo editor. So what we're going to do is do a batch edit, and I'm going to select this first one, and then Command A to select them all, or Control A on a PC. Then I'm going to go up in here to File and Open in Camera Raw, or Command R. So if you're not familiar with Adobe Camera Raw, it is a plugin for Photoshop, Lightroom, and Adobe After Effects. I broke down and got a subscription to Adobe After Effects, and found this by accident when I tried to import a raw photo, and this popped up. So I tried it out and was happy with the results. So this is what I'm going to use for this demonstration. So like I said, we're going to do a batch edit, and what I'm going to do is edit this first photo here and then copy and paste all the edits onto the others. You can also hit Command A or Control A and select them all and edit all of them at the same time. However, it is a little laggy when I do that, so I'm just going to select the first one and then edit that one and then copy and paste. So here I'm just going to start with the basics. First thing I'm going to do is raise the shadows. I'm going to raise it up to here to start off. Then I'm going to lower the highlights because as you see the lights here are a little glary, so I'm going to take that down just a little to start. All right, good. Then the next thing I'm going to do is give it a little clarity, just a little bit, and dehaze it for now, just a little. And we're going to give it a little bit more saturation. I like to bump up the saturation and just a little bit of vibrance. And then I'm going to go back up here to the temperature. I'm going to lower the temperature a little more. You can see it's a little saturated here, but that's the way I like it. I'm going to lower the temperature a little bit to give it that electric blue feel. Just right about there, just a little bit. And then I'm going to change the tint. And as you can see, the lights here are kind of turning purple, purplish. So that's the nice thing about doing your own post editing. You can basically make this up any way you want. Okay, from here I'm going to go to the curve and I'm going to adjust the shadows even a little more. You'll start to see even more detail in the shadows. I'm not going to get too crazy with it, but I'm going to raise it maybe up to 75. Then I'm going to take down the lights a little so these lights here won't be so glary. Then from here we'll go to detail and sharpen it up just a little, giving a little sharpness, and reduce the noise. Then also reduce the noise in the colors. If you want to go in and color grade even more, you can, but this is good enough for me. And that's pretty much it. It's nothing to it, and I'm not a professional, and this is pretty much what looks good to me. It may not be perfect, but it looks better than the original. So we're going to compare it to the original, and you can see it's almost like a night and day difference. You can see more detail in the shadows. The lights aren't as glary, and we have a cooler feel to it. So from here, we're going to hit these three dots, copy, edit settings, then hit Command A to select them all, hit these three dots again, paste edit settings, and as you can see, all the photos are being updated with the edits. So let's check out this last photo, and everything looks good here. If you need to make any more adjustments, you can. Just make the adjustments to this last photo and then do the same process, copy and paste to all the rest. So we're going to click done. So then at this point, all we need to do is export our files. Okay, now that we have our images exported, we can go into our video editor. So our editor for this demonstration will be Final Cut Pro. I normally use Filmora 10. However, I do have a 90-day free trial, and I do like how it operates on the Mac. and also it has a nice stabilizer. So we're just going to use this for this demonstration, but you can do this in Filmora 10 as well, but the stabilizer is not that great. So what we're going to do is locate our edited photos. We're going to select them all, Command A, and then drag them down into the timeline. And as you can see, the photos, if I press play, everything is about 4 seconds long. Now you can change this in your default settings, or from here you can select them, select all the photos, then go up to modify and change duration. And then from here you just type in 1 and enter, and it'll reduce all the photos to 1 frame. So now when I press play, you have your hyperlapse. Also, as you can see, it's a little cropped in, so you want to fit it in the frame. Go to spatial conform, and then you want to fill it. So we're going to need to stabilize this. As you see, it's a little bumpy here, so we can't stabilize the photos themselves, so we're going to have to export this into a video and then import it back in and stabilize it. So from here we're going to export. So at this point we can get rid of these photos here, then find our exported movie and import it into the timeline. And then once you do that, you'll see that you'll have the option to stabilize right over here. So hit stabilize or stabilization and let it do its job. Then once it's stabilized, press play, and then there you go. You got your hyperlapse. Nice and smooth. Everything looks good. So what I forgot to do is delete the last photo. So what I'm going to do is go back 1 frame or 2 and just shorten this up a little bit, and there you go. Alright, from here you can export again. And here is a side-by-side of before and after. Alright guys, thanks for making it this far. Just remember that your settings for your hyperlapse may vary based on the lighting. And sometimes you may need to use an ND filter to get a longer shutter speed even at night. And also remember, you don't necessarily have to use the software I used in this tutorial. You would just need a photo editor that edit raw photos and a video editor. But remember, at the end you will have to stabilize the hyperlapse. And if your video editor doesn't have a good stabilizer, you have to find another program that does that. So if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And also, if you know someone who will enjoy this, please feel free to share it. And also, if you like drone reviews, tips, tricks, and cinematic videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know the next time I drop a video. But until then, you guys be creative, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.